you would literally feel that you are underwater and diving in the ocean. You feel as an outsider. It talks about belongingness, it talks about community, which had won the Booker Prize and I had picked it up. So these two things were outstanding. So yeah, number 10 is it talks about the sense of loss. People say he is a misogynist, he is a reckless writer. Basically, he writes himself in a way. I was looking forward to this book and this book did not disappoint. And his exploration with work and passion, you actually become the character. I wanted to know why this book is so popular and talked about. To understand what is going on, it's random, everything is random, but everything makes sense by the end of the novel. You just have to stay with it. The world building is outstanding, the story was outstanding, the twist was outstanding. It made me feel like a fever dream. It felt like I was dreaming. This novel made me feel that, everything is ominous. Hey beautiful people, welcome back to a new video on our channel Read Travel Become. It's the year end and just like every year we are going to rank the 10 best books that I have read in the year 2025. Not necessarily books which were released in the year 2025, but the books which I have read this year. Most of them are new, most of them are brand new. This is exclusively a fiction books list. I'm also going to make a non-fiction video list right after this video, so stay tuned for that. But here are my top 10 books that I have read this year in the year 2025. Make sure you watch the video till the end. You may never know which thought or fact may resonate with you and change the course of your life. So let's get started. On number 10, I have a novel by Richard Powers. The novel is called Playground. Richard Powers is the same guy who's written Overstory, which is his magnum opus, which has won him a bunch of awards. I actually started with another book of his called Bewilderment. This was my second book of his, and this book talks about a lot about oceans and oceanography. So just like his original style, this novel also has a bunch of characters. They have their own personal stories and arcs going around, and at some point all of these intersect together. It's an aging billionaire who has created an AI software of sorts. There is a mother, a person who is on a remote Guam island in Honolulu, somewhere there. There is an active oceanographer who loves ocean and who apparently has done one of the most number of and who apparently has done the largest number of dives in the ocean. She's fascinated with marine animals. There are multiple stories like this. There's a friend, this billionaire guy has a friend, there's a friendship arc there. Two things I remember very distinctly from the novel, because of which this novel is on the list. The first is his love for nature. Overstory was about trees. This particular novel is about the aquatic marine life. You would literally feel that you are underwater and diving in the ocean. Just the rich language that he has used to describe the marine life, you just know that this guy is a lover of nature. Very immersive that way. And the second is the ending of the book. I remember I was blown away. I don't want to give it out, but think in the AI terms, very contemporary stuff. There is a twist, kind of a twist, and it kind of is open to interpretation. I remember going onto Reddit into a rabbit hole to think and read about what people have thought about the ending. So these two things were outstanding. So yeah, number 10 is Playground. Number 9 is Inheritance of Loss by Kiran Desai, a very popular writer. I think this was the book which had won the Booker Prize and I had picked it up. This book talks about, again, two characters. The first character is an orphaned child. She has a grandfather who's staying with her in somewhere in Kalimpong in the northeast in the Himalayas, and there are some local tensions, community tensions going around. And the other character is a son of a cook, and this person is in the US and he is working there as a cook again. Inheritance of Loss basically talks about how you feel as an outsider. It talks about belongingness, it talks about community, it talks about the sense of loss, how it is passed on from children to children and from family to family. The grandfather of this child I was talking about has always lived outside. Although he's an Indian, he's always lived as an NRI outside, and now he's come back and he just hates everything about India. And the other person there's the other way around in the other characters as well. I remember the very sensibilities she talks about are personal. I am in the US right now and I can feel those changes coming around as to how you think and how you think about all of these community problems. I remember it being a very nice novel, a very nice read. So on number 9, I would definitely put Kiran Desai's novel. Number 8 is a Charles Bukowski novel. Not many people love his writing. People say he is a misogynist, he is a reckless writer. Uh, Somehow I feel he is an authentic writer. I may or may not resonate with what he writes in the novel, but I love his writing style. It's brutally honest and authentic. He writes about characters which are flawed. He writes about characters, basically he writes himself in a way. The central character, Henry Chinaski, many people say it's a manifestation of his own persona in all of his novels. So I read Ham on the Rye this year. I've read all of his other works, The Post Office, Factotum, Hollywood, which is basically at every stage of life how Henry Chinaski, the central character, is dealing with anxiety, depression, alcoholism, lots of issues. Ham on the Rye is his childhood struggles. Very fun to read. He writes short sentences, very pacey. Everything flows, and it just seems to be coming from a place of stream of consciousness. It almost seems like Bukowski sat down and decided to write everything that is coming to his mind, but somehow it comes across as poetic in a weird way. So yeah, number 8 should be A Ham on the Rye by Charles Bukowski. Number 7 is one of the biggest releases of the year, Secret of Secrets by Dan Brown. I have uploaded a separate in-depth review video for this book. I was looking forward to this book, and this book did not disappoint. It's on the list on number 7 because I didn't feel that he reinvented the wheel in his storytelling. He kind of used the same tropes he always used to use, the narrative arcs, the murder, and finding the killer using some clues. There is a conspiracy theory around, there is a city in which it is based. He's talking about the city. All of it is there. It's very pulpy, very interesting to read, and a page turner for sure. But I was expecting him to like write something very, very different. But yeah, it's a very enjoyable read. The ending is great. The concept of noetic sciences is pretty interesting to read. The concept of consciousness as a part of the universe and you tuning into the consciousness is again very interesting. So I thoroughly enjoyed. So on number 7 it has to be Dan Brown's Secret of Secrets. On number 6 is an academic novel. Although I didn't go in with the notion of studying literature as much as wanting to understand why this literature is an academic literature. It's taught in universities. It is taught as a 101 in literature when it comes to understanding how novels and fiction is written. The book is Stoner by John Williams. It talks about a central character called William Stoner, which again people believe is a manifestation of the writer himself. I feel the book is about a journey of a man and his exploration with work and passion, how to find work in late 1800s America during that time at the cusp of industrial revolution and labor migration, all of those things. How is this guy finding his relationships, his passion, his work, and how is he juggling all of these things into a one epic saga, into a one narrative stretch? I really liked the flow of the novel. It reads in a very, very easy way, like hot knife on a butter kind of a thing. It's very easy to read. I thought it, because it's a classic, it should be very dense and heavy, but it's anything but that. Easy to read, and you can feel you are kind of going with the narrator. So there's two ways I see fiction novels. One is, let's say there is a labyrinth and a character is going through the labyrinth, and as a third person you are watching the character go through the labyrinth and you're enjoying it. But I feel there are some novels such as this one where you actually become the character. Let's say you are right behind the character while they are going through the maze. So you get a much more intimate notion of the problems that the characters are facing. So Stoner is on number 6. Number 5 is again a Richard Powers novel. I can say that this year was a novel of Richard Powers. I always wanted to read him. He's a little unconventional. He's not very pacey. You need some time to sink in. You need some time to set in the world that he has created. But the novel is Bewilderment. It's about a child and a father, a son and a father. The son has a medical issue and he's fascinated by the universe, and he's asking these beautiful questions about the universe. Again, you get such good narration about how the universe works and how Richard thinks about the universe. It's beautiful. You would fall in love with how things surround us. You would start noticing real things, and all of this because it's from a child's perspective. He's super passionate about environment. He at such a point where, you know, animals getting killed bothers him on an anxiety level, you know, that kind of thing. So he has basically put all of his personal thoughts around this character. I feel very enjoyable read, very heartwarming read. makes you cry in a couple of places. Yeah, beautiful read. I would definitely put this on a list here at number 5. On number 4 is a really, really long novel, and I actually did not finish it in like one span of a sprint of reading. I would say I had to take some time and revisit the book again. The first time I picked it up, I kind of did not finish it, but I picked it up again, and because I wanted to know why this book is so popular and talked about, and I thoroughly enjoyed it. The book is Goldfinch by Donna Tartt. The book is about a 13-year-old boy, Theo. He visits the Metropolitan Museum of Art in New York with his mother, and this museum is bombed this particular day, and his mother is killed. And while he is exiting, he comes across a painting of a goldfinch, and the whole story, the whole narration is now about his relationship with the painting. It reminds token of his mother's love or his mother's relationship with him. A lot of things happen with this painting. You would go to antique sellings, drug wars, and lots of things happen. Like, I can't even tell you what all happens because it's a lot to pack in. But I love how, using a simple concept, the book evolves into a lot of things. The writing is enjoyable. It's a little dense, but it doesn't get to you. It flows freely, but you would want to put in some effort. I would say 20 to 30% initially, but once you get it, you want to know what happens next. So that way, it's a very enjoyable read. I got to understand a lot about the painting scene, how art dealers view paintings, and how there's a whole market of crime and everything related to paintings. So very enjoyable read. I kind of see the ambition of the novel. It's a highly ambitious novel. There's lots of things written here. So only for that reason, only for the ambition, I have placed it on number 4. Now we come to the top 3 books. I'm sure these 3 books, anybody if decides to pick up any of these 3 books, I'm sure you're definitely gonna have a great time. None of these books disappointed me. They were top of the shelf for me. I have been recommending these books to everyone this year. Whenever I read this book, I was shouting around it. You also, the subscribers who have been watching me, would also know and hear about this book a lot of times from me. On number 3 is actually a book which I recently finished and I haven't talked about on this channel. The book is The Final Empire, which is the Mistborn series number 1 by Brandon Sanderson. Brandon Sanderson, I had heard a lot of things, a lot of chatter online, a lot of legendary status like things have been written about him, and I was very curious to pick it up. I was just waiting for the right time. I picked it up and I thoroughly enjoyed the world building. The world that he has created, the rules around it are extremely detailed, and I love that. I love how the world building has taken its own form. Like, sometimes I don't really care about the plot, but I'm so interested in the world that he has created. Characters in the book do some kind of magic by burning metals in their bodies, and he has explained everything so well. It's very unique. It's like reading Harry Potter again, but a very adult version of it. The romance part is very less here, which I was looking forward to. I didn't want it to be a young adult romance in a fantasy setting. It's there, but it's not as much. It flows very fast, and the main crux is about how empires work, how rebellions work. There's a lot of politics involved, a lot of Game of Thrones like backstabbing involved. The last 150 pages are just on some other level. You have to trust me on this. It just goes on some other level. The writing just shoots, and I can see the appeal why people have such a cohesive following for Brandon Sanderson's books. And this is me just reading the first of his books. I am looking forward to explore a lot of his writing. So yeah, definitely if you are trying to get into fantasy, he is the man. You can take up with. On number 2, I think it's almost a near perfect novel for me to decide between number 2 and number 1. It is very difficult. I don't think just because something is number 1, I like it slightly more. I like the number 2 as much. Number 1 is there because I really appreciate authors who break the mold, who go out of the way, who experiment at such a scale that even they are not sure if the audience will get it or not, but somehow audience gets it. Only for that reason the book is on number 1. On number 2, the book that I absolutely loved this year was My Friends by Frederick Bachman. I don't need to say anything about this writer. He is a beautiful writer, in and out. Man's got a beautiful mind. He's got a knack of storytelling, and I feel this book doesn't really have a have a great plot. It's the characters, it's the little things, and it's the beauty in little things that he appreciates, be it friendships, be it love, be it companionship. Everything is explained through a story about a painting of a couple of friends. You just need to read it. It will make your heart smile in many pages. And it's very simple. There's no high concept or a high turn or a conflict in the novel. It's very easy and very light-hearted, but it makes you feel good. That's what fiction books are for. Sometimes they just act as a nice balm, a nice lotion, a nice smelling lotion to your mind, kind of a thing. So I felt that after reading My Friends. So highly, highly recommended. And on number 1 is a book which I have talked about a lot of times on this channel. Very different book. I don't think everybody would love this. It starts off so bizarre that it takes you at least 30 to 40 pages to understand what is going on. It's random. Everything is random, but everything makes sense by the end of the novel. You just have to stay with it. The world building is outstanding. The story was outstanding. The twist was outstanding. It made me feel like a fever dream. It felt like I was dreaming. This novel made me feel that everything is ominous and there are no borders around things. Everything is a blurred line. I felt that way. Very, very beautiful world building. The book is Piranesi by Susanna Clarke. I have gifted this book to multiple people to experience something new. I think this book has broken a lot of mold when it comes to what a structure of a book should be. Most books follow the same structure. There are characters, there's a conflict, there's a journey, there's an arc. But this book breaks everything. You just don't understand what is going on until a point. And then you're like, this is what she was talking about, the writer was talking about. So my number 1 read this year has to be Piranesi by Susanna Clarke. Do let me know in the comment section which of the books have you read and which of the books you feel I should have included. We've talked a lot about these books on this channel, and I aspire to continue to do so every year. Let's see how the next year is when it comes to reading. Stay tuned for the non-fiction ranking also. I have some great recommendations there as well, which I'm sure all of you will find as valuable recommendations. So thank you so much for watching the video till here. That's all for this video. See you in the next one. Bye bye.